Hey guys, what's going on? Steven back again, and I'm back with another 40k video from Major Kill. And the topic for today's video is, which faction is the best to be a part of? Good question. I guess it would all depend on what your role or position would be in said faction. So, for example, the Imperium. If you're an Inquisitor, life is probably great and wonderful. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, unchecked, unchallenged. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you're a lowly little factory worker, life probably sucks. OSHA violations, what are those? Safety harnesses? Don't need those. But I'm sure it's like that in probably every faction, really. But if I had to guess, I don't know. Maybe Tau? Maybe? Granted, I don't know enough Tau lore to really know how they treat their population, their fire warriors and stuff like that, so I don't know, but I'd probably say maybe Tau, or maybe even Craftworld Eldar, you know, because you are so advanced and everything like that. But I think, what if Eldar die, their souls go to Slanesh, so yeah, I don't know. Because like I said, it would just depend on what your role is. You know, obviously, if you're a Space Marine, life's probably pretty decent. If you're a Custodian, life is probably really good. I mean, hell, you got all this training and this armor and amazing weaponry and stuff like that. Not too bad, you know. I get to protect the Emperor. What a high honor that is, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. I guess, well, only one way to find out is watch the video. So here we go.
G'day guys and gals. Warhammer 40k makes a real point of saying that everything is quite shit. The Imperium, the good guys, is a brutal, authoritarian, regressive, dystopian empire where crimes against humanity are just the flavour of the week and everything sucks. The Tau Empire looks quite nice and clean on the outside, but when you look deeper and see the absolute control and propaganda their ruling class employs, as well as people often vanishing if they don't fall in line, then you start to see some cracks appear. The point is, living in 40k, no matter where you live, can be pretty mid. However, that isn't to say that everything is equally shit. Some factions are significantly nicer to be a part of than others. So by the end of this video, if you ever find yourself isekai'd into Warhammer, you'll know which faction to pick. Before we get started, we all know that having adequate vitamin levels or something like that, you know what Deficiencies suck and are generally the root cause for a lot of issues we have in life.
The race you think would be the best
the niche
is the best. That'd be funny.
Than getting a Black Templar to not commit xenocide. Thankfully, AG1 is here to sort it all out by providing a surprisingly delicious powder that contains everything you are lacking in life. Just look at this ingredient list. Oh my.
Yeah,
I was actually a customer of AG1 before they reached out to me, as I always tried to have some kind of multivitamin. I know they were pretty rough to like outsiders and stuff. Like if with AG1 having a sweet pineapple
guardsmen defected to the town,
I have it every day with coconut
they could join them, but they'd be a little, you know what I mean, against them. So
AG1. Better energy, better focus, healthier immune system. It's not rocket science. You absorb a bunch of vital nutrients that you are lacking, hence you will feel better. So to take arguably the easiest step in living a healthier life, then use my link below, which will get you an additional year's supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 travel packs for free when you pick up any of the AG1 bundles. Cheers to AG1 for sponsoring this video. Today we'll compare each faction's average quality of living to determine which will be the best to be a part of. We will be looking at the average quality of life over a faction, not just their elite, because you know, even the top 0.1% of Somalians are probably having a great time. Let's get into it.
Okay, so we're going by average. Okay.
We will start with the Imperium, as that is the most complicated, diverse, and you know, mankind, fuck yeah, gonna kill the motherfucking aliens. Quality of life in the Imperium is actually quite diverse. You get the bottom of the barrel, which is the slums of the hive worlds, the manual labor of the agri worlds, or just anywhere on a death world. However, the Imperium also has civilized worlds, which are comparable to our modern day Earth. Whilst pleasure worlds exist, which are literal paradise vacation planets, most Imperial worlds are civilized worlds. However, the largest percentage of humanity live on hive worlds due to the obscene population density. So if you were plopped into the Imperium of Man, you would most likely be on either one of those two worlds world types. Definitely not a pleasure world though. This is quite the contrast. On a hive world, disease runs rampant, as does crime and pollution. The standard of living is shit, as is the life expectancy. At the very bottom of the pecking order, the diet consists of corpse starch, which is literally a bunch of different proteins, including that of dead humans, processed into mince, which then goes on to sustain the hivers. This is about as bad as life can get. All your food is processed, all your water is stale, you are never truly clean, and if there is some kind of disaster, a fuckload of people die since everyone is so closely packed together. And the value of life is pretty cheap. However, a civilized world can be very nice. It will rarely be as nice as Earth, since the Imperium gives zero fucks about the environment. However, for the most part, there are clear skies, clean water, and a tolerable population
So it also depends
density.
on what planet
The Imperium
you're
is
on
also
too.
a futuristic sci-fi setting, so shit like medicine and machinery is a lot more advanced than what we have. Overall, a civilized world would not be a bad gig, whilst the hive world would make the Indian slums look like the Bahamas. The Mechanicus and their Forge worlds might seem like a pretty interesting place to live, but since we are looking at the average citizen, which isn't a tech priest, it wouldn't be that great. You would either be a cyborg forgeman, slowly melting away as you work for the machine god, or you would be a servitor, which would be worse. If you were lucky, you'd be a Skitarii, but once again that makes you an expendable cyborg slave of another, so overall not a vibe. However, this still isn't as bad as Orc Society. Orc Society is like getting a million roided up kids who are homeschooled, never taught discipline, and all have severe Asperger's, and then dumping them all together. Orcs are constantly fighting and killing each other. Their currency is literal teeth, so for them, earning an honest living is punching other orcs in the face and collecting their broken fragments. The leader is whoever is the hardest to kill, something they figure out via practical application. You might think it's all well and good with orcs loving fighting, but you also gotta remember that one of their gods is Mork, and Mork is a sneaky fuck. Hence, orcs will also go around backstabbing each other and talking shit. Orcs get angry a lot, not because they like getting angry, but because they are surrounded by a bunch of raging fucktards that are trying to kill them
so you can be
daily.
killed by your own
The only time orcs
people.
don't have to worry about other orcs is when they are charging at Imperial or Tau gun lines, something that also doesn't really increase their quality of living. You could argue that because orcs' lives are so short on average, that their quality of life doesn't actually matter, but you could also argue that the Make-A-Wish Foundation is a waste of time and money, as the kids are going to die anyway. It's just something that you should probably not argue. The Elder are an interesting one, as each Elder sub-faction has very different standards of living.
True.
Straight up, despite the constant looming threat of eternal soul rape, the Craftworld Elder have fantastic standards of living.
Yeah.
They live for thousands of years on beautiful craftworlds, surrounded by millions of their people. They don't do menial boring shit, but can follow various different interesting paths. A Craftworlder can be a striking scorpion for 100 years, then they can become a scholar, then they can become a swooping hawk, then an artist. The Elder Autarchs
Really?
are literally
I
Elder
didn't
that
know
have
that.
followed and mastered numerous paths. Sure, Craftworlds do get fucked on the occasion, but for many Elder, they will spend thousands of years living peacefully. Their worlds having stunning natural forests and really good food. They can also visit various beautiful Elder maiden worlds to check in on their Exodite cousins. All the while, their spirit stones protect them from Slaanesh. Upon death, they are placed within their Craftworld's infinity circuit, able to live on in this pseudo afterlife, or even return to the field by possession of a Wraith Warrior. A much better fate than human souls, which mostly just get devoured in the warp by demons. Speaking of the Exodites, their technology isn't as good as Craftworlders, hence they live a more primitive life. However, for those that like that style of life, this could be considered to be more preferable, as it is a bit more free and chilled out, in saying that their maiden worlds are regularly targeted by other factions. For the Tyranids, they are like a delicious dessert, and for the Imperium, maiden worlds represent fertile and highly livable worlds in which they can colonize, with Exodite militaries being weak as shit and relying on Craftworlders or Harlequins to save them. So overall, Exodite life is a good life as long as something doesn't invade. Dark Elder have both horrific and awesome standards of living. On one hand, they live in constant paranoia, constantly watching their back against other Dark Elder who will kill them to climb Comrades' steep societal ladder. Everything sucks, including yourself, and without a spirit stone, Slaanesh is constantly draining your soul, forcing you to risk your life on real space raids to find slaves to torture in order to stave off Slaanesh's hunger. However, on the flip side, it's a party 24/7, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, baby. You indulge every single degenerate desire you can think of, and it's socially acceptable. I'm not saying that is necessarily a good thing, but it is what it is. Overall though, fuck being a Dark Elder. I like sleeping soundly, not with the paranoia of someone trying to slit my throat or the guilt
I
of
know,
the
you'd have
fucked
to
up
sleep
shit
with
I did
one eye
that
open
day.
for like
Tao's standard
ever.
of living is overall pretty good. The extremely structured and efficient society means that there isn't any poverty or homelessness. Everyone has a purpose in the scheme of the greater good.
Okay.
However, whilst the standard of living is good, the freedoms are not. There is no freedom of speech. You cannot stray beyond your assigned caste, and if you do break any of these rules, you will be disappeared. The Farsight enclaves fix a lot of these issues by getting rid of the ruling ethereal caste,
Wow.
making all Tau equal within the enclaves, as well as allowing personal freedom and mingling of castes. However, since the Farsight enclaves are only a sliver of the total Tau population, you can't really consider it the average. Necrons don't
That's
really
true.
have a standard of living as they aren't really alive. The only ones that maintain their consciousnesses and sense of self are the elite overlords or high-ranking Necrons. The rest are just a bunch of automatons that stride forth to do battle. You would be one of those mindless automatons,
Of
so
course.
overall not a great time. Similar vibe with the Tyranids, since they are basically just organic robots controlled by the hive mind, so no real standard of living to speak of. What
Nope.
about Chaos? As much as you'd like to fantasize about being a Chaos Space Marine, plundering the galaxy with your fellow battle brothers, more likely than not, you would be a Chaos Cultist. The goal of every Chaos Cultist, the reason why they seem to choose a really shit path that will pretty much inevitably lead to their soul getting torn to shreds, is to gain enough favor to ascend to become a Demon Prince, an immortal, powerful being. However, the chances of that happening to you are
Slim.
like 1 in a billion. Although Cultist society isn't as bad as Dark Eldar or Orc society, it's still not great.
Right.
Sure, people won't just backstab you for no reason, but they will backstab you if they think Chaos wants it. In saying that though, Khornite cultists will genuinely just go around killing people, Slanesh cultists will go around raping people, Nurgle cultists smell like shit and bring disease everywhere, whilst Titsnichian cultists will often just turn into cow spawn for a laugh. Undivided cultists are pretty safe from a lot of that shit, however, since you don't have a patron god to protect you, you will generally be the target of all the others. So overall, not great
That's
unless
true.
you can finesse it, which you probably can't. The Leagues of Votann are a faction as much as I forget about them, and fortunately we do know quite a bit about the society.
Yeah, I don't
standard
know
of
anything about
living.
them.
They follow a similar vibe to the Tau, that each member has a purpose, hence there is no poverty or slums.
Okay.
Their society is also very advanced, giving them the technology they need to maintain a good standard of living. However, the Leagues aren't about that comfort and easy life. They like
Really?
it rough
They're
and
advanced?
hard, taking on risky
Didn't know.
mining missions or fiercely protecting their resources from others. But since they choose to make it hard as a way of life, rather than being hopeless and clinging to a pitiful existence, I would say that it's actually quite a good standard. So with all of this in mind, which faction has the greatest quality of life on average? Which faction would be the best to be a part of if you could choose? Well, definitely not the Imperium, Chaos, or the Orcs for obvious reasons. I'd also say fuck being the Dark Eldar unless you're a freak. The Necrons and Tyranids don't even really count as they
Yep.
don't have the living part to begin with,
True.
whilst the Mechanicus would also suck balls. I'd put the Tau and the Leagues of Votann standard at a similar level. Not a super comfortable
Okay.
lifestyle, but also missing the depressing, overpopulated aspects of the Imperium, with each member being cared for and having a purpose. I believe that most depression is linked
Fair
to a
enough.
lack of purpose in life, hence why Tau and Votann society is mostly free of it. But the best standard of living by far easily goes to the Craftworld and Exodite Eldar. It's overall very similar, with the best just coming down to preference. Do you want to have the safety of a heavily defended Craftworld, surrounded by elite warriors as you live a fulfilling, comfortable but relatively strict lifestyle for thousands of years? Or do you want to be a bit of a dinosaur riding hippie, free of rules or restrictions, but
I mean,
also
riding
with
a
pretty
dinosaur would
low-level
be kinda
tech
cool.
and not much comfort, on top of the fact that you are the least powerful faction despite being a high-value target.
Yeah, that does kinda
Either
suck.
way, without a doubt, the non-rapey space elves have it the best. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the
Okay,
place to be.
so there we
There's
go.
not only a boatload of Battle Mace 40 million hentai, but also a bunch of live action nude cosplays. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more livable content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Okay, so there we go. Craftworld Eldar is the best faction to be a part of. Yeah, I mean, they do have a really good way of life. I didn't know that they were able to swap between, you know, what do you say? You can be like a striking scorpion, then become a scholar and study, and then become like a howling banshee or something like that. I didn't know you had the ability to swap between that. So that is actually very cool. Obviously, living for thousands of years, not too bad. You know, your way of life is really good. You know, you got advanced ships and stuff like that. So yeah, it doesn't seem that bad. Like he also said, you know, Tau wasn't that bad either. You know, you got what, no poverty, no homelessness and stuff like that. So you are, you know, pretty well taken care of and stuff like that. You know, yeah, some of your freedoms not really there. Same thing with Leagues of Votan, but I didn't know, I don't really know hardly anything about them. Are they like their own separate faction? Are they kind of like with the Imperium or what? How advanced are they? Because he said they're pretty advanced, so how advanced are they really? I don't know. I might have to watch a video on Leagues of Votan to get you know, some idea on their lore and stuff like that, and just learn about them. Yeah, obviously Necrons, Tyranids. You're a mindless drone. What else is there? You know, you just put in sleep mode until you're needed, and then you just activated, and okay, off you go. Yeah, Chaos, pretty rough. You know, like you said, probably just be a cultist. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Yeah, Dark Elves would be rough too. You know, having to like always, you know, torture people and be on the lookout for anyone who's out to, you know, try to kill you so they can climb up the ladder and stuff like that. So that'd be pretty rough. Same thing with the orcs. You know, they just need to fight someone. They fight you, you know. And then of course, yep, the Imperium. So it just all depends on what you would be in the Imperium, and then of course what planet you would be on. You know, if you're in a hive city, yeah, life sucks. If you're in, you know, one of the other you know, one of the other cities where you're at least a little bit more, you know, taken care of, not too bad. So it just all depends on what you are and what planet you're on, you know. So yeah, so there we go. I didn't really know about the Exonites. That's actually kind of cool. Although riding a dinosaur would actually be pretty badass, not gonna lie. That'd be fun. But yeah, I wouldn't want to be like one of those, you know, I don't know if I'd want to be a part of them, you know, like, we're being attacked, someone help us, you know, always needing someone else to come and get you out of a jam, and, you know what I mean. But yeah, so there we go. So let me know, do you agree with this list? Do you disagree? Do you think Eldar is the best faction to be a part of? And what faction would you want to be a part of? I guess, like I said, it would just all depend on what you would be in said faction, really. But if you had to pick, you could be whatever role you want in whatever faction you would want. What faction would you join? So you could be anything. You know, you could be Inquisitor in the Imperium. You could be an Ethereal in Tau. You could be, you know, a Farseer in Eldar. You could be, you know, an Overlord for the Necrons. Yeah, let me know. What faction would you want to be a part of? Let me know. So anyways, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. That'd be awesome. Remember, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media. Links in the description box below. Come join me over on Discord. We can talk more 40k. You can suggest videos for me to watch. You can post pictures of, you know, models you're working on, painting, converting, things like that. And we can just talk more 40k. So, link down below in the description box. And other than that, yeah, just stick around. More videos are on the way, and I will see you guys next time.